afternoon. It's 12 o'clock. It's now afternoon.
Yes.
I do.
Good.
Good.
Yeah. We hope y'all are doing good. And thanks for those who have been asking about updates. It honestly, it just means a lot that to know that people care. Because sometimes it feels like the longer this goes on, the less bandwidth people have to care, just with so much else going on in the world, and so it means a lot when some of you text or come up to us at church or whatever and be like, when are you going to do an update? We want to hear the news. I think maybe sometimes we don't do updates because I think maybe we start to believe that no one cares. Maybe that's part of it. And so when y'all ask, we're like, oh wow, people actually do still care. And so we're like, okay, we need to do an update. So here we are. And
Here we are.
yeah, thanks for caring. And so we're gonna update y'all on our pastors and what's going on. You want to start, hon?
Yes. Well, for the past 4 months, really, Bree and I have been itching to go to Ukraine, but we knew the time was not right. We've just been asking the Lord to give us direction, and He's provided us with our pastor friends who are actually very honest with us about the ability to come into the country and do ministry, and
not even just the ability, but just where we can be the most helpful.
Right.
And they've told us that, honestly, guys, what you're doing in America of just keeping people informed, playing benefit concerts, raising money is more helpful currently than what you could do in Ukraine. So we've continued to work here.
So we've done that, but we've heard from Zhenya and Alexei about 2 weeks ago, and they're like, we're just discouraged. People are discouraged. There's bombings, there's kidnappings, there's all sorts of things,
and I think Ukrainians also have the sense that people are forgetting and don't care. Доброго вечора. And don't care anymore or care as much. And so I think because of that, they're now saying that your presence here would be the most helpful because it would show people that they're not forgotten and that people still care about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember last August when we were on the front lines and just sharing the gospel with the soldiers. Part of my message was that I would rather be here with you guys right now than anywhere else, and that it's a privilege to be here and just to watch their faces sort of light up. I'm an American suburbanite guy, but I'm in front of you telling you that you matter. And so, our hope is ultimately in Christ, but we are able to be representative of that to these people. And so Zhenya and Alexei graciously and honestly told us, hey, we really need presence. We need encouragement. The money has been amazing. We've been able to feed hundreds and thousands of people in the last 4 months that would have otherwise gone hungry or without resources. And they are so thankful for that. But now there's a new phase where they sort of know where they can go and where they can't. It's a fluid situation always, but especially with the military, they have procedures now where before it was just general chaos. And so they sort of know, the chaplains and Zhenya sort of know where we can go and where we can't go, and that's subject to change, but they at least have a good understanding of what can happen and should happen when we are able to go and spend time with them. Is that?
Yeah,
okay?
We were super excited when we got their message saying, hey, we think y'all should come now.
We're like, really? It's like Christmas. Let's go to a war zone. Anyway, but along with that comes a lot of logistical undertakings.
Yeah, people have asked
Go ahead,
when.
hon.
We don't know for sure yet when, because we haven't bought our tickets yet. We're still working on that. Part of what Jesse's talking about, the logistics, is how many suitcases we'll be able to take, because they're going to need stuff from the States, need us to bring stuff. And if we have to pay $100 per suitcase and we need to take 10 suitcases, it's a lot of money. And so we're um, trying to find the cheapest tickets possible, and then also an airline that will help us. We've heard of a lot of like the benefit concerts that we've done with Ukrainians here in the States. These Ukrainians have told us that they've worked with airlines, and these airlines will either give them extra baggage to take to Ukraine, or sometimes they'll even just take baggage like without a passenger. These Ukrainians will just take suitcases to the airport, and the airlines will transport those suitcases to, well, not to Ukraine obviously, but to a neighboring country where they can then be picked up by someone. And so we're trying to find an airline who will help us out with that and give us some extra baggage allowance, so we can take supplies.
Basically, just before I get that, just for a frame of reference, we will fly into most likely Poland, but we're not sure. Romania, Moldova, whoever will take us. But if it is indeed Poland, then Bria has some Ukrainian friends there. They will pick us up.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully,
Talk to them.
all of this is in hope. We plan as best as we can, and they will take us to the border. We will walk across the Ukrainian border, and be met on the other side by one of our pastors or one of their friends, who will then take us into, whether it's Lviv or move into a different town or city. They will be in charge of the itinerary. They know where they need to be. So anyway, so that's just to map it out. That's obviously broadly simple, but one of the biggest needs, I guess the number one need
That we know of.
that
so
we
far.
know of are high quality helmets, as in bulletproof helmets. They have helmets, but a lot of them do not do what helmets are meant to do. So if you fell off your bike, it might be okay, but if you're being shot at by a high powered weapon, more than likely you are not going to survive with the helmets. So we're calling out on SWAT teams and military folks.
Yeah, anyone who has connections
To those areas. I mean, we're thinking of going to the surplus store and buying those sort of long army canvas bags and being able to fill those with helmets and whatever else. There's other needs, of course, but that's one of the things that
that's
Jenya
one that
said.
they've really expressed to us. So if you personally work for a police department, or you have connections to people who might be connected to a police department, I don't know what happens to their old issue helmets when they get new helmets. If those just end up in a pile somewhere in a room and they're not being used, and they could be donated. So yeah, we don't know. We're just sort of like putting that out there. We know that the internet can be big. I don't know how to say it in English. They say like velika sila in Ukrainian, big strength. I don't know.
Big strength. I like that.
Yeah, so we're just putting that out there, and so maybe someone knows something. You can, if you don't know us personally, you can get in touch with me through, a message on my YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. If you know us personally, you can just text us or email us, call us, whatever, and try to get these helmets collected so we can take as many as possible.
One of the other areas of need are bulletproof vests. We're not going to take bulletproof vests with us. There's a manufacturer in Eastern Europe that they procure bulletproof vests from, and those are about $175 a piece. So if you're interested in donating funds towards bulletproof vests, you can give through our Venmo or PayPal, or our Mission Go. If you go to missiongo.org, you can find our missionary site there, and just designate it as such. But anyway, yeah, so those are sort of those are the needs that we know of right now. We're not sure of medicine or anything else that we can help with. We're still talking to the guys, but we'll find out more about that. So yes, donations, supplies, flights, all those things.
Yeah.
So
we'll keep you posted
we'll
as
keep
the
you
trip
posted.
develops. We're just sort of leaving it in the Lord's hands and just being like, okay, God, like we're just gonna trust that, you know, if this is what He wants to happen, He'll put the pieces in place and help us get the needed, you know, funds and the needed supplies and make the timeline work out. And yeah, so we'll keep out posted as we have information. So updates on our pastor friends. First, Zhenya, he's now with his family in Odessa. And I did not realize, even because you don't really hear much about Odessa on the news. You're hearing more about other cities that I guess are being, you know, shelled worse. But I didn't realize that even Odessa is under shelling constantly, and constantly there's sirens and everything. So they sent us, there was a bad attack on Odessa this week, and this was an apartment building that was bombed. Obviously, civilian target. You know, there was no military there, and unfortunately, I know there were children who were killed. I don't know. I don't remember exactly how many civilians, but the Russians just continue to bomb and target civilians, which is just crazy. Yeah, so you can continue to pray for Zhenya and his family. They wanted to stay as close as possible, though, to the front line so they could continue to help the military and continue to get supplies to their people who are still in their hometown, which is occupied by Russia currently. So we continue, those of you who continue to send donations, we continue to send them to Zhenya and Alexei, but this, you know, they're using them to, for instance, we got this video this week. This is one thing that they do with the funds. Maybe I should put my coffee down. Just 1 second. Here we go.
And it's filled with so much stuff like food, sugar, sunflower oil, tires, lots of medicine, and we're taking all of these products to the occupied territory.
So we knew, he wrote us the day they were sending that van and asked us to pray, because he said often they will send supplies back into their hometown. So my understanding is, best I understand, is their friends who are living under Russian occupation will actually leave. They have to go through checkpoints and stuff like that, obviously, but they'll leave, they'll come meet Zhenya, and then take the supplies back through the checkpoints. But he said often what happens is the soldiers, the Russian soldiers, will confiscate the supplies, sometimes just part of the supplies, sometimes all of them. And so they never know whether the supplies that they've purchased and are sending are going to make it to their people. So we were praying for that this week, and we were very thrilled when he wrote and said that they had made it safe and sound, the drivers were safe, all of the supplies had gotten through.
He considered that a miracle from God, he wrote, because obviously goods are confiscated, but then the drivers and, you know, the people are also in tremendous danger. So
he sent us this picture of some military guys that we've met before on some of our trips, and this just made us smile. One, just to know these guys are alive and safe, because we never know, you know, which soldiers we've met before, how they're doing. But he sent us this picture of these guys. They had met up in Odessa, and that's a picture from our trip in August with this guy, which honestly I didn't even recognize him without his helmet and all of his gear on. I was like, oh, that's what he looks like.
yeah.
but yeah, it was really good to see that picture and just see their faces and know that they're alive. And then he sent us this really sweet video that just made us tear up when we told him, like, once he and Alexei gave us the green light and said, like, yes, we want y'all to come. There's stuff you can do here to, you know, to help. And so we were so excited, and we were like, okay, we're gonna buy our tickets. And Zhenya had been visiting the military that day, and he sent us this video. It's not too long, but I think y'all will enjoy it, so I wanted to show y'all.
Hey guys, let us send our greetings and gratitude in a very special way. And please look at all of these faces and all of us. We are welcoming you to Ukraine. We are waiting for you, and we are longing for just to do things together, to sing. And please welcome. We send with our welcoming, our song. Please enjoy.
So at the very end there, what they all yelled was, "We're waiting for you." And that song, probably a lot of those of you in America don't know this, because Eurovision is not really a thing in America yet. But Eurovision, obviously in Europe, is huge. And that was the song this year that Ukraine performed, submitted to the Eurovision contest and won. When was that? Back in May,
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 months ago.
I think. We were in North Carolina at the time doing a benefit concert.
Oh, yeah.
We were watching with a bunch of Ukrainians, and we all went crazy when Ukraine won. Anyways, so just thought that might be a fun video for y'all to see.
They're amazing people. They're in a war, and
Yeah,
they do a little impromptu
yeah.
song for us. This is so
Yes,
cool.
Ukrainians are very inspiring.
Okay, we're at what, 19 minutes.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
Just, yeah.
So Alexei had written to us.
I don't think it's Western, actually. I think it's Central.
Okay, he's in Venetia. That's where
Vinnytsia.
Venetia, thank you. Zhenya's in Odessa, and Alexei is in Venetia. But he is working with the civilians in Berdyansk, which is the city that is occupied, which is his home. And he was pretty upset a couple of days ago because fellow pastors are being kidnapped, and their churches are being raided all over the city, and their stuff is all being taken. I don't know what that means, probably sound equipment and other things. So
And he says kidnapped because no one knows. They're not arrested. They're just taken.
taken.
The
Yeah.
Russians just take them and they disappear, and no one knows where they are or what's happened to them.
Yeah.
So some of his friends, these were some of his friends who are pastors in his hometown who were taken.
Yeah. So the ministry in Berdyansk, which, you know, his church there, that are people that are still there, they are doing a lot of ministry to displaced people, people moving from Mariupol and Melitopol. They're moving west, but they get stuck in Berdyansk under occupation, and so they're sort of just there, but they don't have anything because their city and all of their stuff was destroyed. They make it with the clothes on their back into his town, and now they're in an occupied territory, unable to move further west. Excuse me. And so the church, as best as they're able to, is just providing goods and services to them. And so our funds and that kind of thing go to Alexei, and then sort of like Zhenya, packing up vans full of stuff because Vinnytsia is still free. And then they take it and they smuggle it in, or however they do that. I'm not exactly sure. And I don't necessarily think I'd say it on camera either. But at any rate, it is up and down. It is a roller coaster. Any given day, there's new disasters, new terrible things happening, but also that God is at work in these very dark places, and the courage of these men and women is extraordinary to watch. Very, very precious to us, and so we're thankful to join them.
Before Alexei's church was raided, like a day or two before that, he had sent us these pictures from. So speaking of just how inspiring the Ukrainians are, and just especially even the Christians, as Christians, just hearing what Ukrainian believers are doing despite their circumstances, despite what they're living through, is amazing. So even under Russian occupation and the threat that their church was under, his church people who are still there put on this children's camp one day and blessed the children. They had some Samaritan's Purse boxes that are intended for Christmas, but they decided to go ahead and use them and give the children gifts, and they said the kids were so excited. And anyways, that was really amazing to see that. And then unfortunately it was very sad just like a day or two later to hear that their church had been raided and everything was taken and the pastors were taken. That's the stuff we wanted to update y'all about today. Please pray for us, the trip, that the Lord will lead us in putting together, our timeline and supplies and everything like that. Please continue to pray for Ukraine. I know it's when you're so far removed physically from a situation and relationally from people, when you don't know them personally, it's hard to continue month after month, going into 5 months now, to remember people and continue trying to help them. But we just ask you, as people who personally have connection to Ukraine, family and friends, and it's my home for most of my life. Just please don't forget them. Continue to look for ways to support. I really encourage you to look for ways, whether it's through us or you can find a lot of ways online to help the Ukrainian military. A lot of people want to just help refugees and help in a humanitarian capacity, which is nice. It's really good, but the most important thing is for this to end, and the only acceptable outcome is for Ukraine to win their sovereignty and their freedom. And the only way that's going to happen is if people, governments, and just regular people do what they can to support the Ukrainian military, such as you know, helping us find helmets for them and buy bulletproof vests, and us going to visit them and just encourage them. Yeah, pray and do what you can to help, and thanks for continuing to care and watch these updates and ask about our people, and yeah.
Yeah, we're grateful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, y'all.